our central nervous system. The other reason that I put this slide in too is because I think clinically it's important for us to remember that as mental health clinicians, we're pretty much integrated into all areas of healthcare now. And so, as you know, spinal cord injuries that can be caused by trauma to the spinal cord, like stretching, bruising, severing, lacerations, etc., result in injuries. And usually these victims of these spinal cord injuries suffer all kinds of losses in their feelings in certain parts of their body. They may end up with paraplegia or tetraplegia or some type of paralysis. But the other thing is they also end up with a lot of mood disturbance. And so, psychologists, mental health counselors, clinical social workers, a whole host of clinicians are now integrated into this part of healthcare, and some of us even specialize in that type of treatment, meaning of those who play on return. So usually this is the kid that's preoccupied with their caregiver's availability. So seeking contact but resisting angrily when it's achieved. It's not easy to calm a child like this, a stranger that is. It isn't easy to, they don't have an easy time calming a child that's being, raised up in this type of attachment pattern. And then lastly, we have disorganized, where there's the frightened or frightening behavior, intrusiveness, withdrawal, negativity, role confusion. Disorganized attachment patterns are often seen in caregivers or parents who have a serious mental illness. So, for example, the mother with schizophrenia is probably going to have more of a disorganized style. And as a result, the child in this type of pattern usually has this sort of freezing or rocking stereotype. When the caregiver returns, there's a lack of a cohesion in there. It wants to travel to those areas of lower concentration for homeostasis. Potassium ions tend to move out of the neuron because they have a high internal initial, like at rest concentration, and again it wants to go down its concentration gradient, so the area of high concentration towards the lower concentration. And then chloride I've listed here. It works a little bit differently because the nature of it, because it's negatively charged and because it's small, there's little resistance in the membrane of the neuron for the passage. So chloride ions kind of pass in and out very freely, but at the same time they also don't have a huge impact on whether the neuron's going to fire or not. So an action potential is a nerve impulse. It's a very brief electrical charge that can travel down that axon of a neuron and move things in and out of. So again, it's not the fact that they're using that makes them addicted. I mean, if we're talking in DSM-5 terms, we talk about evidence of withdrawal or tolerance or different things, or impacting different areas of functioning. But adding this biological bent, we would also want to know, is this person genetically loaded to have enough receptor density for dopamine, enough capacity, or does somebody have an anomaly where they literally don't have enough dopamine receptor sites for it to bind to? So the first evidence that alcoholism had a genetic loading really came in the early 1970s at the Washington School of Medicine in St. Louis. So here they found that adopted children whose biological parents were diagnosed with alcoholism were more likely to have a drinking problem than those who were born to parents who were labeled in this study as non-alcoholic.